Welcome to the Rotary Club of Edina. My name is Michael Stanzak and I am your president in training. I want to give a shout out to all those past presidents and fellow Rotarians who encouraged me today to not screw up the meeting, to be on time, and to remember a short meeting is a good meeting. Seriously, a special thanks to Sam Thompson and his administrative assistant, Sandy Brown, who helped me put, they didn't help me, they put the whole slide deck together, and they're giving me this opportunity to prepare for leading future meetings. I so appreciate it. As most of you know, we're coming to you live from Edina Country Club. 51 of us are gathered, and we have 9 people on Zoom. So thank you for being here. Thank you for participating in the meeting. Member update. On a somber note, Kathy Hepp underwent surgery this morning at 11 o'clock, and she and Brad are in the hospital. So please keep her and Brad in your thoughts and prayers, and we'll keep you updated on that situation. On a happier note, last Saturday, the new member committee gathered and they planted flowers, Bill, at the Centennial Rotary Clock. And I think that effort has been led by Susan Stiles for a number of years. So thank you, Susan. On another happier note, Hannelore Brucker's daughter, Monica Young, wrote an article, and she won an award for the Solar Physics Division in the Popular Media Award. Congratulations, Hannelore. Hannelore, where are you? What an outstanding daughter you have. She takes after you. Now, Rotary Club in the news. As Sam frequently tells me, we have a lot going on. A week from today is going to be our Rotaract Club's picnic, and we are all invited. Toshi, maybe you want to attend. It's at Wooddale Park. It's from 5 to 7. Apparently it's free. They're going to have refreshments, and they're also going to have food. And Ken, we don't want you to join the Rotaract Club. We just want you to go and encourage them and spread some enthusiasm and wisdom. And if you'd like to go, please contact Annika Sort at Gmail and let them know that you're coming. Other Rotary in the news. As many of you know, our club is one of 9 clubs that helped businesses that were vandalized during the George Floyd riots. And Sandy Schley has led a group of our Rotarians that have helped the business that we've been assigned to, which is Post Plus, which I think is kind of like a FedEx store. It's kind of like a money transaction store. They communicate with people overseas. And picture there is Omenia Osman. So a shout out to Sandy and the 9 Rotarians that have given of their time, talent, and intellectual to help Omenia get her business back going again and to recoup it and get it going. She's going to be at her meeting on the 27th. Additional news. Next Thursday is Prospective Member Day. So consider bringing a friend, a colleague, a prospective member. Our speakers are Stephanie and James Pierce. Equity and inclusion, why it matters. So please come, please bring someone. Also Rotary in the news, our very own Lindsey Smaka spoke at a live vocational happy hour at CW's. Was it any fun there, Jen and Lindsey?
It was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. Did they have good things to drink? Good. As many of you know, Lindsey is an instructor at Edina High School, and she heads up the Edina Rotary Global Scholars Program, which our club has teamed up with Edina Public School to make students globally aware. In fact, including this year, there's 60 students that have signed up for the Global Scholars. So kudos to Lindsey and the program. Birthdays. If you're sitting next to Marcus or Eric or David Kuntz or Bonnie, wish him a happy birthday. Rotary Anniversaries. Charlie Bear has been a member of our club for 39 years and Bob Gubberud for 14 years. Well done, guys. Assisting off podium today was Bob Stellick as our greeter. Andrea Ferenkrug as a Zoom greeter. At the front desk were Becky Mikowski and Mike Tingham. Our photography is Rick Carlson, and our AV support is Ryan Wilson. Thank you guys so much. Please join me in welcoming Bill McReavy, who's going to lead us in the invocation, the pledge, and the 4-way test.
Thank you, Michael. I know how important it is to stay on time, so hopefully this invocation will fit in the time frame. I've timed it several times. It's only 18 minutes. So please bow your heads in prayer. Dear Lord, we come to you united in prayer. Thank you for this day, and thank you for watching over us as we progress through these challenging times. During this season of spring, we ask that you bless our great country and community. And we approach Memorial Day. Bless the men and women of the U.S. Armed Forces. We thank them for their sacrifices. Bless our Rotary organization, our family and friends, and this food and those that prepared it. In your name we pray. Amen. The Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And the four-way test of the things we think, say, and do. First, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Good afternoon, everybody, and my name is Bjorn Freudenthal. My honor is here to welcome our guests for today, and I'm going to let Ken go ahead and introduce your guest, please.
Sorry. Stand up. This is my wife, Jean Anderson.
Hey, Jean. And I would also want to ask Sue to please introduce your guest.
Sure. Welcome, everyone. I want to welcome my guest, Hillary Tyler. She works for the association. She's part of my staff. And she's here for technical support in case I mess up.
And lastly, I have the honor of welcoming the City of Edina Fire Department, also one of our grant recipients, Ryan Quinn. Please give him a warm Rotary welcome. And that concludes our list of guests.
I had my therapist with, so I must have not signed a card when I came in. So. But my therapist, I married 45 years ago, my wife Cindy.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to invite Catherine. She's making her way up here. And so I am this year, this is actually my second year of a 2-year commitment as the Rotary Foundation Chair, and effective July 1st, Catherine is going to take over the position. So she's going to help me today. We have a number of PHF Paul Harris Fellow awardees to present pins to. Thank you. And I have some slides and some information that I want to share with you. And some of these slides you've seen before, but it's always nice to have a little bit of a reminder. In order to attain a Paul Harris Fellow level, it's a lifetime cumulative giving of $1,000 to the Rotary Foundation. This is the International Rotary Foundation. Once you've given $10,000, you become a major donor. The next level for major donor level 2 is $25,000, then $50,000 for MD3, MD4 is over $100,000, and then the Arch Clump Society's cumulative lifetime gifts of $250,000. You can also join the Bequest Society if you wanted to leave the Rotary Foundation in your state. Those are options that you can do as well. We have a really nice deal here at Edina Rotary where we recognize first-time Paul Harris Fellows, new members, encourage you to become a PHF. And if you donate $333, we match you with 667 points, getting you your first PHF. As many of you know, I used to be a member of the Minneapolis No. 9 Rotary, and it is a great club. We did not do that, so that was new to me when I came to your club. I wanted to share some numbers with you. I thought that these statistics would be interesting for you to know about our club. Our club is number 2112, and as you can see up here, we have 465 lifetime Paul Harris. I'm too close, sorry guys. And so the district, you can see multiple Paul Harris Fellows, 233, and then we've got 30 benefactors. On the right side of that chart, Yeah, this is the chart I wanted to show you now. So right now is usually when we're really collecting a lot of the contributions from our club for the Rotary Foundation. Our fiscal year ends 6/30. Our goal this year for the annual fund is $75,000. So far, we've collected, if you look in the very top middle number, $57,498. If you look on the right side of this chart, you can see total contributions, not just this year, but in previous years as well. And you can see goals on the top left-hand corner. So our goal this year was a little bit less because of COVID and all of the issues we've been dealing with in the past year. But I think that we're very close to attaining that $75,000 number, and it's the generosity of all of you, and it's not how much you give. We just really look for participation. So give within your means. And there's a variety of ways of doing that. If it's confusing, please contact me through email, or you can give me a jingle on the phone. But you can do cash, stock transfer. You can send a check to my office. We'll forward it over. I think the easiest way is to go onto myrotary.org website. That is really by far the easiest way. It's good for you to get on that website. It's just full of great information. So now I want to invite members that Catherine and I would like to recognize. So I actually have this on two charts. So we'd like to invite, if Luther's here, Luther, Carlin, Mike Eckert, Andrea, I know you're here, Mike Martini, Rob, I believe Rob might be on Zoom, and Wade. If you guys could come up here and we'll share pins with you. Sutton, I know you're here, I see you. Sanja, I know you're here. John, Mazzara, Toshi, and Sam, who's right here. So come on up. I've got lots to give out, and Catherine's going to help me. So starting with our first Paul Harris Fellow, when you get your first PHF, you get a really nice certificate like this, and you get a pin. So this is for Carlin. Carlin's in the middle with the mask. And then is Luther here? I don't know. Andrea? Is she here? Oh, Andrea's on Zoom. Okay, I just heard that. And then this is for Sutton. All right. Thank you. And then we've got Sonia is right here. I'll come with you. Yeah, I'll grab them all here. Mike Martini. There you are. Mark, you get two. Martini. Pardon? Martinique. Okay. Toshi, where did she go? There you go. And John. Here, I'll give you a couple of these. Sam, there you are. Wait. Rod, he's kind of running around. Right? Sorry about this. Lots of Paul Harris Fellows today. Here's John. Yeah. Here you go. All right. Thank you, everybody, for your generosity. And can you do a picture for us? Oh, there you are. That's great.
Tighter? Yeah, let's get tighter. Just in case. Perfect. Okay.
So last week I was up here making an announcement. I left my face mask up here, so I'm holding on to it tightly. Rob Bredding is actually, he asked me to make an announcement this morning on his behalf. He's on his way to Bend, Oregon to visit his newborn grandchild. So that is why he's not here. Next Wednesday, May 18th, is the next in the series of the Leadership Development Series that Rob has put together for us so wonderfully this year. Next Wednesday's program, and these are Zoom-based, next Wednesday's program is the Leadership of Decision Making. So if you ever had to make a decision without all the information that you ideally would like to have had or wanted, leaders do this all the time. How do they do it? And what sets a leader apart when it comes to making those decisions? If you register for next Wednesday's session, you can find out. The presenter is Eric Norman. He's the Senior VP of Sales and Marketing for Bolger Incorporated. He's a friend of Rob's, and Rob promises you will really get something out of it. So it's next Wednesday, May 18th, 6 o'clock, and you can register on the website.
Where's the man to get so many things done? Josh Sprague. I know he's here somewhere to talk about the upcoming trip to Guatemala. Here he is.
All right. How's everybody doing today? Oh, come on, you can do better than that. How you doing today? All right. So, this is just our send-off. We want to wish all of the Rotarians well who are going on this trip to Guatemala. We'll be traveling to Guatemala City, then up to Coban to deliver 675 life-saving water purifier units to households serving over 6,000 people. Then we'll be stopping at Antigua and making a quick trip up to Escuintla Hospital to see our previous water project and also to see the hospital beds that were recently installed, our pediatric exam tables. And so I just want, if you're going on the trip, stand up. When everyone's up, let's give them a big round of applause. Shelley Loberg. After they stand up, everybody. Shelley Loberg, Susan Stiles, Michael Stanzak, Lindsey Smaka, Jennifer Hendrickson, and then not from our club, John Crudelli, past president of the Eden Prairie AM, John Powell, and Jim Wangan and Steve Yonda from St. Patrick's Church. So everybody, let's hear it. We'll be reporting in from Guatemala, probably on Facebook Live or some other social media posts to keep you up to date. Thanks again, and thanks for your support. This is a $27,000 district project, thanks to you.
Good afternoon. The Local Grants Committee has been featuring every week one of our grant recipients this year, and today we have the privilege of having the Edina Fire Department here because they are one of our recipients. I think it's great that we do a lot of grants throughout the metropolitan area, but I think it's great to see us putting money right back here in the community of Edina. And today we have Ryan Quinn, who is the EMS chief for the Edina Fire Department, and he's going to talk about the piece of equipment that we sponsored. It's a new Elegard piece of equipment, but I'll tell you a little bit about Ryan Quinn first. He is from Green Bay, Wisconsin. He attended the University of Minnesota. His first position was with the Bloomington Fire Department as a paid on-call firefighter. Then he moved to Denver for a job with the Denver Fire Department, and ultimately came back to be closer to family, where he worked as a paramedic for the Hennepin County Medical Center. And then he joined Edina Fire Department in 2005 as a firefighter paramedic and was promoted to captain in 2013 and then EMS chief in 2019. He lives in Chanhassen with his wife, 2 teenagers, and a golden retriever. So let's welcome Ryan Quinn.
Thanks, everybody. It's great to be here. The piece of equipment that we were so lucky to have to help with funding it's called an Elegard. It's not real well known throughout the country yet. Its primary purpose is for increasing survival from cardiac arrest. Cardiac arrest is kind of we've been doing a lot of focus on it since we've always focused on it, but I've made it kind of my priority since becoming the EMS chief. We've been doing this piece of equipment in particular. What it does, it's part of a bundle of care, and in the months, years to come, you're going to hear more about this. We are early adopters. There's about 6 other agencies across the country. State of Florida Medical Direction, Texas, Dallas area, Tennessee. We're all beginning to find out that in cardiac arrest, CPR alone is good, but not good enough. Ventilations alone, good, but not good enough. We put everything together and we're getting significantly better. What this does is, with compressions, with good airway management, we raise the upper part of the body during CPR. What that does, we are perfusing the brain at near normal pressures, where everybody has a blood pressure. That's something that we all know about. There's also kind of, we'll call it a blood pressure for your brain, cerebral perfusion pressure to be fancy. But we're doing the best we can to make that normal. And we are having tremendous success so far. I will keep it short so I don't get into the whole thing. If anybody wants to really like geek out about the stats and what we're doing, happy to talk to you all about it. But thank you very much. We did get to use it on one of our residents that made the news, former fire chief from Richfield, Minnesota, who had a cardiac arrest. We used this. He was yelling at one of the guys in the back of the ambulance on the way to the hospital. He knew the firefighter's father. And great success story. We're learning a lot. We are progressing. Thank you very much, everybody. We appreciate it.
You have to step over here.
And it's a big check.
It's a big check. Did you get it right?
Better try it again.
Try it again.
This one always works better anyway. There we go. Thank you.
Just for everybody's notification, especially Jeff O and John Flynn, we're right on schedule in terms of the timing of the meeting, so encouraging to know, right, Jennifer? I get the pleasure of introducing Jody Kern. Jody joined Rotary in August 2006, and Sandy Schley was her sponsor. Sandy and Jody volunteered at Campy that first year as joint mentors, and the rest is history. She's a major donor and Paul Harris Society member. Jody Kern is a 27-year employee of Wells Fargo Private Mortgage Banking, where she assists customers in making their dreams of home ownership a reality. She lives in Bloomington and is a proud mother to her son Rob and guardian to her nephew Paul. She enjoys golfing, gardening, yoga, and traveling internationally. On a personal note, Jody truly gets a lot of things done and doesn't take any credit for it at all, David. She's amazing. Please welcome my good friend and fellow Rotarian, Jody Kern.
So before I introduce our speaker, I just have to ask Michael a question. Is this what they call a test drive to be president? Because I noticed Sam was here. You always have to have an escort when you test drive. Well, do you have your license? Because we want to check your credit. No pressure. Okay. I have the pleasure of introducing Susan Parriott. Susan joined the Alzheimer's Association Minnesota North Dakota chapter as the Chief Executive Officer in 2012 and became the Region 5 leader for the association in January of 2017. Her region includes Minnesota, North Dakota, Iowa, Nebraska, South Dakota, and Wisconsin. For 2 years in a row before COVID, the chapter hosted the largest walk to end Alzheimer's in the country, raising $1.7 million. That's awesome. Congratulations. Before joining the Alzheimer's Association, Parriott served as the executive director of the ALS Association, Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota chapter, for 11 years. Prior to her work with ALS, she was the executive director of the Pearson Lakes Arts Center in Okoboji, Iowa for several years. Sue holds a Bachelor of Science degree in journalism from Iowa State University and is a proud member of the Edina Noon Rotary Club. With no further ado, please join me in a warm Rotary welcome for Sue.
How is everybody? Awesome. Oh, it is so nice to be here. Thank you for having us and for having me. And welcome to all those on Zoom. I've participated in several of the Zoom meetings and have really enjoyed them. So thank you. I'm so excited to be here to talk about Alzheimer's and dementia, partly because Rotary has really gotten involved with our association and is starting a greater partnership. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that at the end of our talk. But the number of conversations I've had with our members since I became a member of this club is tremendous. So I know that this disease has impacted many, many of you, if not almost all of you. And if it hasn't impacted you yet, you will probably be calling me in the future, which you are always welcome to do, and we can talk through what your needs are. So thank you again for having us. This is normally a 30-minute presentation. I haven't shortened it, so we have plenty of time for questions. We're going to skip through some slides. It is interactive, which is really exciting, so I'm going to ask you questions, and you have to play along. And also, we're going to hear some videos from some of our people at the home office who are our scientists who know way more than I do in how to talk about the impact of Alzheimer's disease when we're talking about the scientific part of it. So get ready. We're going to test your knowledge. First question, those of you on Zoom, play along. Ryan, you can shout out the answers when they come through. All right, where'd it go, Hillary?
It's coming.
Did I skip it?
Nope.
Oh, all right. How many Americans are currently living with Alzheimer's disease? Anybody know?
12
That was not one of the answers up there.
million.
Oh, 12 million? That is wrong. It is 5.8 million. In fact, actually, this is an older slide. We had our facts and figures that just came out in March, and that number is now 6 million people living with the disease. And by 2050, more than 14 million people will have Alzheimer's disease. All right, next question. Whoops. See, I went too fast. Hillary's computer is more sensitive than mine. How many caregivers are currently living with or are caring for people with Alzheimer's disease? Did I go? I went back too far? Oh. There we go. There we go. Any ideas? I heard 16.2, and you are correct. For every person with Alzheimer's disease, we say there are 3 people that care for that person. And it is an expensive disease. We are going to now get to learn some more of the facts, so watch the video closely. A lot of sobering facts in there. I always am interested in the one that says more people die from Alzheimer's disease than prostate cancer and breast cancer combined. So we're going to learn about Alzheimer's and dementia and what's the difference and are they the same or not. But we're going to test your knowledge again. All right, true or false? Alzheimer's is a normal part of aging. You are correct. It is a neurodegenerative disease of the brain that impacts memory, thinking, and behavior. And I think everybody often says, oh, I can't remember somebody's name. That's Alzheimer's disease, or I can't find that word. It really, Alzheimer's disease has a lot to do with our thinking, like our mental processes, and can we still do checkbook? Can we still do the checkbook? Do we know how to write the check? Can we do the finances? And behavior and how your behavior might change with this disease. Not everybody realizes that. All right, next question. True or false, people younger than the age of 65 can get Alzheimer's disease? True. Oh, you guys are good. Has somebody already told you all these? Yes, there's approximately 200,000 people that have Alzheimer's disease under the age of 65. Now, under age 65 is when you say you have young onset. Sometimes people will call this early onset, but early onset is really referred to a stage of the disease, which we're going to hear about later. So this would be young onset. All right, and we are now going to hear from Dr. Heather Snyder explaining the differences between Alzheimer's disease and dementia.
Dementia is the umbrella term for an individual's changes in memory, thinking, or reasoning. There are many possible causes of dementia, and Alzheimer's is the most common cause. Other causes of dementia are vascular dementia, which is marked by changes in the blood flow in the blood vessels in the brain. Dementia with Lewy bodies, identified by specific brain changes throughout the brain that include the buildup of a protein known as alpha-synuclein. And frontal temporal dementia, which is marked by brain cell loss in the front sections of the brain or the frontal lobe. Each type of dementia may have distinct characteristics to cause specific behaviors in the individual. But there is also some overlap in behaviors among the types of dementia.
So you saw different forms of dementia. There are over 50 different forms of dementia, but Alzheimer's is the largest one. So 60 to 80% of people with dementia have Alzheimer's disease. That's one of the reasons it's so important to get an accurate diagnosis, because you actually want to know which form of dementia that you have. All right, now we're going to learn about the brain. Alzheimer's in the brain. The brain, you know, I always say is the most complex organ of the body. Often people think it's the heart that's running everything. We talk about heart attacks, and we just learned a little bit about that. But the brain's the computer that's running everything. So this is the thing that we actually need to be studying. Now we're going to hear from one of our other experts.
More than 100 years ago, Dr. Alice Alzheimer described specific changes in the brain, what we call the formation of plaques and tangles. Now, Alzheimer's is a progressive brain disease that's marked by these key changes and is thought to impact memory, thinking, and behavior. The brain has three main parts: the cerebrum, the cerebellum, and the brainstem. Each one plays a role in how the body functions. The cerebrum fills up most of your skull. It is part of the brain most involved in remembering, problem solving, thinking, and even feelings. There are about 100 billion nerve cells, or neurons, throughout the brain that transmit messages in order for us to create memories, feelings, and thoughts. Alzheimer's disease causes nerve cells to die, which leads to the brain tissue loss, or what we call shrinkage, and causes loss of function and communication between cells. These changes can cause the symptoms of Alzheimer's disease, such as memory loss, problems with thinking, planning, behavioral issues, and even at the end stages, problems with swallowing.
So Alzheimer's disease, named after Dr. Alois Alzheimer's. That's why it's called Alzheimer's disease. Now, everyone who has a brain, does everybody in here have a brain? Any questions about that? Maybe? Josh is on his computer or his phone over here. Everyone is at risk for Alzheimer's disease if you have a brain. And there are a few known risk factors, and sometimes you might be at greater risk than the person sitting next to you. So let's find out about some of the risk factors. But we are going to test your knowledge first. There we go. All right, so what is the greatest known risk factor? All of these, whoops. See, I got too excited. All of these are risk factors. Your genetics, your family history, and your age. But what's the greatest risk factor for the disease? Genetics? Is that what they're saying on the Zoom, Ryan? Yeah. They are wrong. It's age. At age 65, 1 in 9 people have Alzheimer's disease, and at age 85, it's 1 in 3. All right, so we're going to hear a little bit more about the risk factors.
So, what's going on?
Alzheimer's disease is marked by specific brain changes that result in the clinical changes in individual experiences. That is, changes in memory, thinking, or reasoning. and ultimately Alzheimer's is fatal. The exact cause for these changes is unknown, but there are some hints as to what may contribute to an individual's risk. Age is the greatest known risk factor for Alzheimer's, and when we look at populations of people, we see an increased risk over the age of 65. However, Alzheimer's is not normal aging. Family history is also a known risk factor. Research has shown that those who have a parent or a sibling with Alzheimer's are more likely to develop the disease, and that risk increases if more than one family member has Alzheimer's. When we talk about the genes involved in Alzheimer's, there are two categories that could potentially be involved: risk genes and deterministic genes. Risk genes increases an individual's risk for developing the disease, but does not guarantee that they will develop Alzheimer's. Deterministic genes, which are rare for Alzheimer's, guarantee that the person will develop the disease.
There are also populations that are at greater risk. Hispanic Latinos are 1.5 times more likely as Caucasians to have Alzheimer's disease, and African Americans are twice as likely. We don't know all of these reasons exactly, but those two populations first are at greater risk for diabetes or heart disease, and if you have either of those also, you are at greater risk for Alzheimer's disease. There are also some factors about socioeconomic backgrounds, levels of education, the environment that they were born into. All of those play into your risk for Alzheimer's disease. And unfortunately, ladies, we are at greater risk. 2/3 of all people with the disease are women. They used to say they thought that was because women lived longer than men, that men all died of something else, and so women lived longer and died of Alzheimer's disease. But when they really looked at the number of women impacted, that did not account for the larger number. So now they're really looking at biological differences. One that I think is really interesting is the amount of sleep that you get and the amount of sleep in kind of your middle years. So think about those of us with children. I think I didn't sleep pretty much at all. So it makes you at greater risk for Alzheimer's disease. 20 to 40, 50 maybe. Yeah.
You're past it.
So age is the greatest risk. Family history adds to it, risk genes. There are certain genes that if you have that gene, you will definitely get Alzheimer's disease, but most of Alzheimer's disease is not hereditary. All right, now we're going to learn about the stages of Alzheimer's disease. No two individuals experience this disease the same. We always say that each person's journey is very individual, and you're going to progress at different rates. You're going to maybe experience different symptoms. So one person's journey is one person's journey. On average, a person with Alzheimer's disease can live for 2 to 4 years. But some people can live as long as 20 years with the disease. All right.
Alzheimer's affects everyone differently. As a result, it's difficult to place a person in a specific stage of the disease. However, there are 3 general stages that are commonly referred to as early, middle, and late stage Alzheimer's. In a medical context, you may hear these stages referred to as mild, moderate, and severe. In the early stage of Alzheimer's, an individual may be able to function independently. However, they may start noticing more frequent memory lapses. Friends and family may also begin to notice difficulties in the person, and a healthcare provider may be able to detect problems in memory or concentration by conducting a detailed medical interview. Middle stage Alzheimer's is typically the longest stage and can last for many years. Damage to the brain cells can make it difficult to express thoughts and perform routine tasks, and this can lead to increased feelings of frustration and anger. In the final stage of the disease, an individual loses the ability to hold a conversation, control their movements, or respond to the environment around them. Cognitive skills, that is their memory, thinking, and reasoning skills, continue to decline, and this can lead to personality changes and need for round-the-clock care.
I think it's important to remember or think back to when Dr. Hartley said people can forget how to swallow. They forget how to walk. They forget how to brush their teeth. It's all of those different things. All right, so you have Alzheimer's disease, or your loved one does. What next? Is there drugs out there to help? What can we do to prevent, treat, or slow this disease down? We are going to do some more interaction. Next question. True or false? There are drugs available to slow down the progression of the disease. Wrong. There are currently no treatments to prevent, treat, or slow Alzheimer's disease. However, there are drugs that will address the symptoms of the disease. So there's a big difference there. Oh, and you're going to love this guy.
There are currently several drugs that are FDA approved to treat the cognitive symptoms associated with Alzheimer's disease. They treat the symptoms, but they don't treat the underlying cause. So eventually people will progress, but they do treat some of the symptoms and help people for a time. So the first class of drugs are cholinesterase inhibitors. These drugs work to prevent the breakdown of acetylcholine, which is a chemical messenger found in the brain that's associated with learning and memory. There are 3 FDA-approved drugs that are in this class of drugs. There's Aricept, there's Exelon, and there's Razodone. There's another class of drugs that modulates glutamate, which is another chemical messenger in the brain that's associated with learning and memory. And this drug is called Namenda. And then there's a final class, which is actually a combination of cholinesterase inhibitors and glutamate modulator, and this is called Namzaric.
Okay, so I don't know if you guys recognize his name, Dr. James Hendricks, Jimi Hendrix. I love that. Anyway, one of the reasons it's really important to get diagnosed and know which form of dementia you have is because these drugs help with Alzheimer's disease. If you have one of those other ones, these drugs might not necessarily help you. So it's important to get diagnosed. And again, because everybody's journey is different, these drugs don't always work the same for each person. So it's important to continue to consult with your doctor to find out what you need. Now, is there hope on the horizon? Everybody always wants to ask that, what's out there? Are we going to find a cure for this disease? First off, I'm going to describe it as heart disease. Do we have a cure for heart disease? No, but we know how to treat it and how to prevent it. That's what we want to do with Alzheimer's disease, is get to that point where we can diagnose it super early, so then we can treat or prevent it. And there is hope on the future, on the horizon. So we're going to hear from a couple of our doctors.
This is an incredibly exciting time in Alzheimer's and dementia research. The advancements that we've made in the last decade to understand the disease as a continuum, meaning that the biological changes are starting a decade or more before someone is experiencing the changes in the memory and thinking. This sets the stage for possible prevention. The idea that when we have the tools to identify those individuals at the earliest time point, and when we have the interventions to target individuals at that earliest time point, we can intervene to stop or slow the progression of the disease before an individual loses their memories.
I'm excited about what we're learning these days regarding lifestyle. One of those things that we've seen in the past of things like exercise and nutrition have now started to gain more momentum to indicate to us that it can change your ability to slow cognitive decline. That is really the first stages of Alzheimer's disease. This may include things like social engagement, mental cognitive training. It can be things such as exercise, it can be nutrition. All those things are now starting to point that they will lower your risk for Alzheimer's disease.
I'm also excited to let you know that there is our first drug in years in front of the FDA right now. We hope to hear in June if it's going to be approved for mild cognitive impairment. So that would be before you actually have Alzheimer's disease. And if that would, if it gets approved, that's going to be our first drug, like I said, in years to actually help people and really actually slow the progression of this disease down. So we are keeping our fingers crossed that that happens. That would be pretty amazing. There are some other things that you can do. One of the things, you talked about blood pressure earlier. If you can keep your systolic number at 120 or lower, you can reduce your risk for mild cognitive impairment by 20%. That's huge. So everybody go get your blood pressure checked. And whether you have to have drugs to do it or you can do it through diet and exercise, either way. But that's one of the main things I know that you can do. And get sleep. Sleep is really important also. All right, now I have Alzheimer's disease. I've consulted with my doctor. I'm getting the drugs that I need. Where else do I go for help? Well, since I'm part of this club and you all know me, I hope you will call the Alzheimer's Association. And I hope you won't wait 2 years, which is the average that people wait before they call us, because they think nothing is serious enough. They aren't in a crisis situation. But we have all kinds of resources and support to help you through the progression of this disease. And it is a disease that no one should go through this alone. It's really tough. You need that village. So please call the Alzheimer's Association. We are here. We are everywhere. We're across the country. There are chapters just like ours. None are quite as wonderful as ours, but there are chapters all over. And some of the things that we can do, we have our 24/7 helpline, answered 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, answered in 200 languages. So we're really trying to reach out to all kinds of people. We can help you with simple questions like, hey, I'm experiencing these symptoms. Should I go get diagnosed? Where do I find a support group? To really serious questions. There was the woman that called in that said, I kind of watch over my neighbor. He's on his own. He has dementia, and he's eating out of the garbage can. What should we do? Or the woman that called and said, my husband has Alzheimer's disease, and he's having behavior issues, and we have 100 loaded guns in the house. What should we do? So we can help at all ends of the spectrum for those calls. We have support groups all across the country. We have education. We have online education that you can find at our website. We can do talks like this. We can come to your church, your community center, to your place of business to educate your employees. And if you'd like to become a community educator and do a presentation like I'm doing, see how easy it is? They put it all together for you. Let us know. We'd be happy to get you trained for that. We also do a lot of health systems work where we're trying to educate doctors and physicians and clinics more of like why you should diagnose. I mean, I have fought with doctors that said, well, I don't know why we diagnose. There's no cure. There's nothing you can do. Like, there's all kinds of things you can do. You can actually plan for the future. You would diagnose with any other disease. So we want to make sure people get diagnosed. We do a lot of advocacy work, making sure we advocate for more funding at the federal level for research, but also making sure that laws are passed that will impact everybody with Alzheimer's disease. And of course, we fund research. Now, how do we do all of that? How am I doing? I'm doing pretty good on time. Well, one of the things we do is we walk to end Alzheimer's. And the Rotary International has gotten involved and decided to have walk teams across the country. So we had a lot of walk teams the last couple of years. But I'm proud to say that our club was ahead of this, and we've probably had a walk team for about 6 years. And Brad Hepp and Rick Carlson have been in charge, led that charge, and I appreciate their support. I know they're going to have a walk team again this year, September 18th at Target Field. So I hope you will come out and join us, join in this fight, and help us end Alzheimer's disease. Thank you. We have time for 2 questions. Okay, you can take the laptop, and then we can answer questions. All right. Oh gosh, all kinds. Rick.
So you know, my mom had Alzheimer's. Her mom had Alzheimer's, and all her mom's sisters had Alzheimer's. So I'm still got my fingers crossed that I'm not going to get it. And, so far, it hasn't been on the male side of the family. The second question, have they proven that high cholesterol is an issue still too?
So I don't know that the question was, have they proven if high cholesterol is an issue too? But I would say yes, that probably plays into that impact because of like your blood pressure in general. So I would definitely keep your cholesterol in check. Rick was also asking that he has that history on his mom's side of all of the people that have the disease. Yes, you are at greater risk, so I would continue to have things checked out and go to your appointments. And Tim's here today. Welcome, Tim. Good to see you.
I thought it'd be good for these people to hear that I have dementia because I didn't have oxygen to my brain for 30 minutes because I didn't have one of them, one of the gadgets that Edina has now. If I'd have had that, I probably wouldn't have it right now, but without oxygen to your brain, you have the same problems that dementia has at a young age. So gadgets like that for helping people would help. And I didn't have one of them. That's why I didn't have oxygen for 30 minutes. So, and it's my physical has been working fine, but my brain doesn't respond quite as well. Yeah, you know, it'll get there eventually, but most of my friends would tell you that I didn't have a brain before I had it.
So Tim was talking about again, one of the different forms of dementia, but the beautiful thing about the Alzheimer's Association is that we help with all forms of dementia. So even though we're called the Alzheimer's Association, our whole name is the Alzheimer's Association and Related Disease Disorders. So thank you, Tim. But we can help. Call that 800 number. Don't wait 2 years. Call.
So thank you, Sue, for your presentation and for teaching us more about Alzheimer's. As you've heard, this impacts all of us in various ways, whether it's us or the people that we love. So thank you for teaching us more. Rotary is a global network of 1.2 million neighbors, friends, leaders, and problem solvers who see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change. Across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves, from literacy and peace to water and health, Rotarians are always working to better our world, and we stay committed to the end. In honor of your presentation, we will make a donation to the Sheridan Story, an area organization focused on the food gaps when children aren't able to receive free and reduced meal programs. The Sheridan Story. Hey, there we go. Only up there for half a second. The Sheridan Story provides weekend and other food gap programs serving over 10,000 children across 300 locations in the Twin Cities metropolitan area. So thank you again, Sue, for teaching us today.
Sorry about that snafu, everybody. That was my fault because I didn't have the clicker, Tim. So anyway, next week is Prospective Member Day, so please consider bringing someone. And our speakers are going to be James and Stephanie Pierce speaking on equity and inclusion, why it matters. Looking ahead, on May 18th, we have the Virtual Leadership Series, which sounds great, how leaders make decisions. And on June 2nd, we have another live and personal vocational happy hour. So thank you for everyone that was here in person and all those that Zoomed. Thank you, Ryan Quinn from the Edina Fire Department and all the lives that you save. Thank you, all you Paul Harris Fellows, because you truly make a difference. Thank you to those that are going to Guatemala to deliver water purification. Thank you, members, for all you do. They may not be able to remember who we are, but they feel us just the same. Amanda Dillon. Meeting adjourned.